today we are learning new details about Trump defense attorneys shifting their strategy in that Manhattan hush money trial. Sources close to the former president tell us the defense now plans to go longer than originally expected during their cross-examination.
Yeah, we're told that they plan to ask Daniels additional questions to help protect the former president's reputation after she took the stand yesterday and recounted salacious details about their alleged sexual encounter in 2006. We have CNN correspondent Kara Scannell, who has been in the courtroom every day of the trial. And Kara, Trump's team worked hard to undermine Daniels' credibility yesterday. What should we be expecting when it comes to that tomorrow?
Well, Brianna and Jessica, I think we're going to see more of the same when they resume their cross-examination. They had about 90 minutes of cross with Stormy Daniels yesterday, and their main focus was to try to undermine her credibility and her motivation. So one of the initial questions out of the gate was, "You hate Donald Trump, don't you?" And Daniels agreed, yes, she did. She was asked, "Do you want to see him in jail?" She said, "I want to see him held accountable, but if found guilty, absolutely." So really kind of hammering in on that. They also focused on her motivation, saying that she wanted to sell her story. And Trump's attorney, Susan Neckles, was peppering her with questions. Here's one exchange I want to read to you. The defense attorney asked, "My question was, you've been making money by claiming to have had sex with President Trump for more than a decade, right?" Daniel said, "I have been making money by telling my story about what happened to me." The attorney, "And that story in essence is that you say you had sex with President Trump, right?" Daniel said, "Yes." And she asked again, "And that story has made you a lot of money, right?" Daniel said, "It has also cost me a lot of money." So we're expecting to have that continue. And one of the reasons why the defense attorney said that they plan to spend time cross-examining Daniels is because of the breadth of detail that prosecutors brought out about Stormy Daniels' encounter with the former president in the hotel room where Daniel said that they had sex, and just the kind of the scope of all those questions. Trump's attorneys say that they want to ask more about that, and they want to challenge some inconsistent statements that they say Daniels has had over time in which they allege she has changed her story. Jess, Brianna?
And Kara, why did the judge warn the defense over President Trump's behavior during Stormy Daniels' testimony? What was going on there?
So while Stormy Daniels was testifying and talking about her conversations with Trump in the hotel room, Donald Trump had mouthed some things he mouthed some kind of word. It was not audible to us in the courtroom, but during a break, the judge had brought the attorneys up to the bench. So he said this in a sidebar, so we couldn't hear it at the time. We only learned it afterwards when we got the transcript. But the judge had said to him, "I understand that your client is upset at this point, but he is cursing audibly and he is shaking his head visually, and that's contemptuous. It has the potential to intimidate the witness, and the jury can see that." So the judge had asked Trump's attorney to speak with Donald Trump about this. And then after we returned from a break, he asked Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, "Did you speak with your client?" And Blanche said that he had. We then did not see any apparent gestures or any other kind of reaction from Trump throughout the day. So he heeded the judge's warning at this point so far in the trial.
All right, Kara Scannell, obviously very interesting moments to continue to talk about here. Thank you.
And let's talk more about this with CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig. Ellie, always great to have you on and get your analysis of things. Sources telling CNN that Trump's legal team is shifting its strategy, planning a more extensive cross-examination of Daniels that they need to in order to help protect Trump's reputation after she repeatedly raised the possibility that the sexual encounter was not consensual. Do you agree that the defense team needs to do this?
I don't, Jessica. Longer is certainly not always better, especially when it comes to cross-examination. The best cross-examination is direct, it's efficient, it's right to the key points. And I think they started to do that yesterday. I think they, as Kara just laid out, I think they punched substantial holes in Stormy Daniels' motivation, in Stormy Daniels' credibility. I would continue with that. I would continue to confront her with prior inconsistent statements that she's made, and she has. I would continue to point out her personal animus, hatred for Donald Trump. I would continue to point out her financial motives. But I don't think by drawing this out over a longer period of time, it would make a cross-examination any more effective, sheerly for the length of it.
And is there a chance, and what kind of line do they have to walk as they go through cross-examination? You're dealing with a witness who's been put in a very vulnerable position, sharing very vulnerable, intimate details about something that happened to them.
Yeah, I think That's exactly right. It's a tricky balance for lawyers to find, where on the one hand, you do want to expose the witness's biases, the witness's lack of credibility, but you never want to risk being seen by a jury as bullying a witness. And I think while Stormy Daniels' testimony had some aspects that were problematic for both sides, I do think she's probably a sympathetic, relatable human being for the jury. And so I would be very wary of overdoing it, of being seen to browbeat her, or even to go after her personally. You can undermine her motives, you can undermine her credibility in a very professional, straightforward way without having to tear her down as a human being. And I think that's the sweet spot that you want to aim for.
And the intensity of the defense's cross kind of previewed potentially testimony of another star witness, really a witness a lot of this hinges on as well, Michael Cohen. Does the prosecution's case live and die by his testimony? How much of a linchpin is he going to be?
I think it will live and die with Michael Cohen. Yeah, this is a brisk warm-up for what we're going to see either later this week or early next week when we expect Michael Cohen to take the stand. Here's why Michael Cohen's testimony is so important. To this point, I think prosecutors have done an efficient, solid, workmanlike job of establishing the basic fundamentals that they have to show. But there still is a missing link, which is directly tying Donald Trump to knowledge of the reimbursement scheme, the way that Michael Cohen was paid back in 2017 with this series of checks, and that it was done intentionally to try to cover up the hush money payments. We have a lot of documents and testimony around that point, and that has made that point more plausible for the jury. But Michael Cohen, it now appears quite clear, is going to be the only person who's going to say directly, Donald Trump knew what was going on. Perhaps I discussed it with him. He was in on it. He was in on the falsification. And so what the prosecution's been trying to do, and I think with some effectiveness, is sort of narrow the gap that Michael Cohen's going to have to take the jury over. And whether he stands up, the point will be told ultimately on cross-examination. I think this cross of Stormy Daniels is a good warm-up and preview of what we're going to see.
All right, more to come. Court resumes tomorrow. Ellie Honig, always great to see you. Thanks so much.